Everyone. I'm Apur Vashisht.
Yeah, Apurv, we'll formally, make some announcements and then we'll start this recording of the session.
Sure.
Akul will.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
After that, you can take over.
Yes. So before we start the session, the voice is echoing probably. You are on unmute, so please try muting also because the voice is echoing. Yes. So before we start the session, it is assumed that your consent has been given to record this meeting and post it on the social media platforms. Good evening, everyone. I, Akul Dua, on behalf of Kirori College, welcome you to the ALMA Connect talk of KMC. Today joining us, we have our respected Principal Ma'am and Staff Coordinator, Dr. Seema Joshi. Before we start with the session, I would request Dr. Seema Joshi Ma'am to give a welcoming note. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Akul. Good evening, everyone. So, as you know, those who have been joining the program for the almost past 6 days, they know that we are holding today the 7th speaker session under Kirori College Alumni Network Live Series on building career paths by sparking conversation and connections with alumni. I welcome our alumnus of class of 2017, Mr. Apur Vashisht, at this alumni network platform along with all the participants. Without wasting much time, I would request our principal madam, Professor Vibha Singh Chauhan, to kindly give a welcome note.
Thank you very much, Professor Seema Joshi. And thank you, Akul, for introducing us and welcoming a guest. And very, very warm welcome to Apur Vashisht. I've just said informally hello to you, but we want to really formally welcome you and thank you for agreeing to talk to us and your students here at Kirori College. It's good to see and very inspiring to see a young batch of students talk to us. You see, that is actually the biggest certificate any teacher can get. And the other thing is that we do see in the young alumni, we see a long-term relationship which will evolve. You will mature, the college will mature, and our students will keep coming in batches and keep adding to the alumni. So the different, the somewhat senior alumni would also, I'm sure, join in. And right now, I think the fort is being held more or less by our very, very young alumni, and Apurv is one of them. So I look forward to listening to you, and I look forward to your long engagement with the alumni network. Yours, your batchmates, your other alumni friends that you know, because this should not be just a visit for you, because you are a part of the family like every other alumni. So once again, I won't take long because I know you are busy. At the other end, you have some appointment. So welcome, and we hope to see you many, many more times in the times to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. It is indeed my great pleasure to welcome among us the alumni of this institute. Not only it is a moment of happiness and pride for us, but also an opportunity to reflect on our learning and achievements. Today, we have among us Apur Vashisht. Apur is a BCom Honours graduate from Kirori College, class of 2017. He is currently pursuing a postgraduate diploma in management in the field of HR from Xavier Schools of Management, Jamshedpur. He also has a work experience of 3.5 years in the domain of finance at an American national company, Avery Dennison. He started there as an ECP associate and was later promoted to senior executive. While being a part of Kirori College, he was a part of core team of ComSoc and senior member at NACTIS in the founding year itself. It's a golden opportunity to hear from you, Apur. Apur today had a very busy schedule and he came specially on the request of Seema ma'am. Thank you, Apur, for joining us. However, he has his next meeting soon after, so we'll wrap up this session around 5:15. Over to you, Apur.
So good evening, everyone, and thank you to Vibha ma'am and Seema ma'am for reaching out to me and allowing me to have this session with all of you. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
So I actually don't have anything planned per se to tell you guys. I'll just I would love to have a very interactive session with each and every one of you, because 5-6 years ago I was in your place as well, and I interacted with a lot of leaders that came to our college. So I would love to have an interaction, and I would love to have an informal interaction. Ask any question you want to ask, clear all your doubts about your career goals, how you want to achieve them, everything. I'll just take you through my journey. So I would say that luck has played a very important part in me being where I am actually. So in 10th, I wasn't really sure which stream I wanted to take. Everyone on my mother's side and everyone on my father's side were engineers. Even my brother, my younger brother, he knew that he wanted to be an engineer, and I was in 10th and I didn't know which stream to take in 11th. So I asked this one person who didn't really score that great in 10th, and he said that opt for commerce if you are so confused. And I said, fine, yeah, I'll go with that, because everyone is telling me to opt for science and you are the only one telling me to go for commerce. That makes perfect sense. I'll go. And I went with it, did well. Obviously, I went to Kirori College, scored decent marks, came to the college, and I was scared. I was scared to hell. What will I do over here? There are so many accomplished people who have done so much in this school, and here is me who hadn't really achieved anything in his school life. So that first day was a very daunting experience. In fact, I remember Seema ma'am was the one who helped me a lot in my admission process. I remember her sitting in, I think it was the big room on the ground floor. If you guys have gone to college yet, it is that room, and I entered that room and saw Seema ma'am sitting over there, and she was one of the few teachers who was clarifying every student's queries, etc., and helping us out. So on the first day I went there, we were all seated in this big room and waiting to see what would happen next. Naturally, our seniors came. They gave an informal introduction about the college, about themselves, about the societies and everything. And one society at that time that stood out was the Commerce Society. So as a commerce student, it is as a commerce student, especially for me, I really wanted to go into this society because this was something that was representing my department, and I wanted to be a part of it. Plus, the way our seniors portrayed the society and the successes that they had achieved the previous year, that was also a very attractive factor. So I gave the interviews, again, a very daunting task, and it is fine to be afraid of something, because you are not, uncertainty is always there, and that fear factor will always creep in. It's just that how you deal with it, how you take advantage of that fear and try to make the best out of it. That is what counts. So I had my interviews, my seniors took it. Some of the questions I found weird and didn't really understand what was the reason for asking such questions from me. It was only later I found out that this question was asked to see whether you are meant for this particular field or not. So I enrolled myself in the technical department. I had learned a bit of Photoshop during the period between my when the boards ended and the admission. I learned Photoshop, so I was pretty good at it. Got in through the technical department, and I guess, I'm not sure if this is the trend right now as well, but back in my time, technical department was only a 1 or 2 member team. So it was pretty easy for me to get into any society solely because I knew how to do Photoshop. And I think people who know how to do it can relate to it somewhat. We had our Advent. I'm not sure if it still happens or not, but we had Advent 2014, and it was a massive success at that time. For that time, it was a huge success, and we got a great footfall. And it was a first one-of-a-kind experience for me at that time, because prior to that, I had no experience in organizing any fest or any event of such grandeur. So yeah, naturally that happened. And that was a good way for me to bond with my seniors and make my connections. So please keep note of this, make connections wherever possible. Grab every opportunity that comes your way and make connections. Then in winters, we started preparing for another event, which is a Pulse. I think that is something that still happens. So we had that event, and so there were some administrative issues during a Pulse. There were some structural changes which took place suddenly. So the event did not go according to our plan, but then again, failure is something that you need to keep in account everywhere. And second, that is my second lesson that I would like to give you guys. Failure is something that you should not be afraid of. Just learn from it and move on. And failure will not happen to you once, it might happen to you multiple times. But the main point is to not give up. So that is the second thing that you should take away from this lesson. Coming into my second year, which was by far the best year of my life at KMC, everything changed. The seniors, after the administration issues that happened, they decided that they no longer want to be a part of the society per se. But as juniors, we had this affection towards it, which we weren't able to let go of. So what we did was, 8-9 people, we got together and formed a core team of the society and decided the only way to convince our seniors to come back to the society and contribute to it was to put on a massive event in the form of Advent. Us being new to this administration part as a whole, we weren't really sure how to go about doing it. Luckily, in that year, I think Seema ma'am turned out to be our head of the department, and we had good relations with her. So we came to her, 2-3 of us, I think Seema ma'am knows Raj Mehra, and there was another one, Siddharth Malhotra. So we three approached her, gave her our idea of what we wanted to do, and she was on board. She was like, yes, I will support you in whatever you want to do. Just be transparent about it. Don't cheat the institution and don't cheat yourself. And with her backing, we got sponsors, and we got massive sponsors during that year. We collaborated with a lot of restaurants. We had so many stalls put up in that event. And I remember there was the treasure hunt event, which saw a participation of over 200 people. So for an event like Advent, which was supposed to be a thing where juniors enter into the society and experience firsthand what it is like to, conduct an event, a footfall of just 200 students in one event. I'm not talking about the entire Advent as a whole, I'm just talking about one event. That really showed the amount of effort that we put in and the amount of supporting that and backing that we got from the institute. And we were ecstatic by the response that happened, and that made us want to achieve more. So jump to the winters again. We had our uppers, we planned a lot, organized and decided on a lot of games, on a lot of events, new events, which no one had heard of, got sponsors. So it's supposed to be a 3-day event. This time we made it a 4-day event and started another thing which I think is still going on, Aspirations. So our batch was the one who brought in the first edition of Aspirations, and we managed to get Barkha Dutt in it. We booked. When we were planning it out, we really didn't think that something like this would actually pan out. We all thought that we are just making things up as we go, and we didn't really see how we will be able to execute it. How will we be able to get people from different parts of the city, from different parts of the country to the campus, especially during the time when traffic is at its peak near that entire road, and get them to the Patel Chest Auditorium on time, and then look at the logistics as well and the crowd as well. And we were a team of 20-30 odd people, but we managed to do it because our seniors came on board. We proved to our seniors in Advent that we had it what it takes to, you know, conduct an event of such grandeur. They came on board and supported us in every activity. Aspirations was a massive success, but what happened in Apples was that the forecast was bad and it started raining. We had our sponsors, we had our budgets, everything, we had allocated it to the stage, we had lights and everything put up, but rain spoiled most of it because it rained for the next 2 days and we had to make adjustments to it. So again, learn from your failures, but at the same time, plan, have a second plan, third plan, fourth plan, just in case something does not go your way. And that is how you capitalize on your failures and learn from them. In the third year, my focus was on my academics because that is the year when you get placed, basically. Placement is another lesson. It's a very harsh reality that I personally faced. I'll get to it. But between that time, there was another society which started, which I think you all know, Enactus. And Enactus appealed to me a lot, mainly because of the way it allows you to contribute to the society, directly interact with the community that you want to help, and make a difference in their lives. So at that point, I decided that I no longer want to be a part of Commerce Society and focus all my attention to Enactus. So it was in its founding stages only, and we had 2 projects. One was Patradya, and I think the other one was Door. Patradya being an edible cutlery initiative with Afghan refugee women, and Door being, I think it was with the Sapera Basti women of Najafgarh. At that time it was, I'm not sure if...
yes, it is. Right.
Yeah. So I'm not, there you go. So that was happening, and we decided to enroll ourselves for the Enactus Nationals. And I was a newbie in Enactus. I mean, I was in my 3rd year, but still a newbie to the concept of Enactus. And these guys decided to make me one of the 4 people who will be representing the college, who will be giving the presentation. Now, we as a team of 30-40 people put in all our efforts throughout that summer holiday phase. We interacted with communities, decided on the molds, made initial sales, etc. And we made a very good presentation. We had some super advanced software which we used, which only one laptop supported, right? So if that laptop crashed, everything, all our efforts were to go down the drain. And I'm not sure if anyone has told you this story. And what happened was that, let's say on Monday, we are to have our presentation in Mumbai, right? On Saturday afternoon, we were required to leave for Mumbai, and we went via train. So when we were boarding the train, our laptop crashed, and the entire presentation was on the laptop, and no other backup was there, right? So that is what happened. So we were already running on fumes till that time. And then we were like, okay, now what should we do? Because we don't have any presentation per se. What will we present? We will speak our part, but what is going to run in the background? So in the train, we decided, let's let the technical team sleep at least. We guys can by that time come up with a plan of what to do. So technical team slept for 7-8 hours in the train. It's a 12-hour journey or something. So technical team slept in the train for 7-8 hours. They woke up and we still didn't have a plan. The only plan we had was to go to Mumbai and then figure it out. Okay. So we deboarded on the railway station in Mumbai, and instead of going to the hotel that we had booked for ourselves, we went to each and every movie studio. Now keep in mind, these are studios that edit movies that you see in your theaters. So they had top class infrastructure and technology, and we trusted them that it will be done. So we went to one studio and they said, even our computer can't support this technology that you have used to make this presentation. We went to another studio, got the same reply, and we didn't have any connections in these studios. We just barged in. Bhai, hame karna hai ye theek. Do this. And they offered their help free of cost, but it didn't help. So now Sunday evening ho gaya, we had no presentation. So what we did was, we decided, let's try to make the presentation again. he opened that software, made one slide, it crashed again. So we decided, ki theek hai, what we'll do is we'll make, we had another software, which was like a backup software. So we decided we'll use this, and what we'll do is we'll make a movie out of it, right? And the duration that every slide will be on the screen will be equivalent. Now there's maths coming over here, right? Will be equivalent to the amount of time that the speaker is taking. मतलब मैं जितनी देर में अपना पार्ट बोल रहा हूँ उतनी देर तक वो मूवी पीछे मेरी स्लाइड दिखाएगी. That is what we decided. So keep in mind, if I went some other way in my speaking part, the slide would change, but I would be still talking about the previous slide, and no one can do anything about it. No one can pause the movie or anything. I'm going into technicalities of it. So during the night, there were people who were getting food, like literally hands feeding us food while we were preparing the presentation. This is what happened. We went to the nationals the next day. Submission time was 9 a.m. The presentation submission time was 9 a.m. And we submitted it at 8:55 a.m. I was in the auto rickshaw with my other friend Raj Mehra, and we had the pen drive in our hand, and we were the first two people to leave our hotel and go to Taj, and it was raining again. So rain has spoiled my event twice. It was raining, we went, submitted our presentation, and did a pretty good job. We got second position in the rookie league. So at that time, we couldn't participate in the main nationals. We were to participate in the rookie league. That is again. So learn from your failures again and take advantage of them. Learn new things. Coming to the third year, which talks about the placements. So placement is a time which is again another daunting uncertainty creeps in. Ki hoga bhi, nahi hoga, will I have to sit for off campus, etc. What companies will select me and why would they select me? So we all decided, and I had good CV points. I had worked in Informal Society, I had worked in Actors, and I had represented. Everything was going fine. But unfortunately, all my friends got placed and I didn't get placed in any company. I reached the last stage, but I didn't get placed. That was another learning experience for me, that don't give up. I went for off-campus placements, and that is where reality hit me, because the kind of companies that come to college and the kind of companies that you are required to approach yourself, there's a huge difference. KPMG, you can't approach KPMG just like that and ask them for a job. You have to start with small companies. So I started with smaller companies. I approached them. They offered me. I cleared everything, but then they did not reply back. In some cases, I got the job, but I didn't like it. So I finally ended up with Avery Dennison, which is a huge company, but then I had to go through a lot of struggle before getting to Avery Dennison. I started as an early career program, which is a management trainee program, where they allow you to get exposure in different areas of finance for 2 years, and then allow you to choose your area of specialization, in my case being treasury. So I worked in accounts receivables, payables, journal ledgers, and then I moved to treasury where I stayed. But then I slowly found, the job got redundant for me. I had already planned to give my MBA papers, but I wanted to do something else as well, something that would make me stand out in the organization. And when I went for my MBA interviews, so I joined engagement groups over there. And these are groups that cater to the all employees at the national level. I joined them and participated in all the activities. And this year, in 2021, before my resignation, I was awarded the Best ECP Award, which is the Best Management Trainee Award. And keep in mind, I was competing with people who had graduated from MDI, IIM Lucknow, IIT Bombay. I was competing with people of these sorts, from different departments of operations, supply chain, etc. And then I got the Best Team Member Award for the engagement groups that I was a part of. So towards the beginning of end of January 2021, I had good certificates with me, and that helped me in my interviews. And finally, here I am, waiting for the next class, which is in 1 hour. That's my journey, in short.
Thanks, Apoor, for sharing such an inspiring journey. All the viewers in the session are requested to kindly list down their questions in the chat box. Till then, Apoor, I too have a question. It's a dilemma for every kid aiming to do an MBA. that whether MBA should be pursued after having some work experience or directly after being graduated?
See, it depends on the kind of role that you're looking for. As a commerce student, your opportunities are not only limited to finance, because the BCom and BCom honors course, they teach you a lot about marketing as well. They have subjects on marketing. You have subjects on human resources. So you have a lot of areas to explore. In my case, I wanted some experience because I wanted to know how corporations they interacted with their employees and what is the expectation that employees have with the corporations as well, right? So as a fresher, I thought that if I don't have the experience, then my MBA might not be that fruitful, solely because I wouldn't understand many of the things that the professor, in our case it's the professor, who's what he or she is talking about, I wouldn't really able to apply it practically, right? So I can see the difference because I can understand some of the things that my peers are not able to understand at the moment. But this is for me. Now, if someone from marketing wants to do an MBA, then I would suggest him or her to get, let's say, 5 to 6 months of experience and then go for an MBA. So it depends from field to field, because for a marketing profile, they prefer people with less experience because marketing has a lot of things involved in it. You have sales, strategy and everything. So sales is something which requires freshers and everything. Companies prefer them. So that is what you need to do your own research. For me, I had it very clear that firstly, I didn't know the area that I wanted to specialize in. So getting into a corporate world gave me the exposure. That is one thing. And secondly, I wanted to see what was, going on in the company, what happens, and how each and every department functions. And then I narrowed down to 2, finance. So I was getting finance at SPGen and human resources in XLR. So I went with XLR.
Right. Thanks for such a detailed answer. Another question we have in the chat box is, to the best of Satvik's knowledge, is it viable and beneficial to pursue MBA Finance and CFA, or should he go for Masters in Finance?
Oh, okay. So as far as I know, you can keep pursuing your CFA while doing your MBA. I have many friends who have cleared CFA level 1, and while doing MBA in the second year, they cleared their CFA level 2. So it's up to you. If you think that you will be able to clear the papers in 2 or 3 years, then you can wait, get experience, and then go for an MBA. But then it's completely up to you. You can do it side by side as well. As far as if it is beneficial, it is. I have seen it myself. It is, and people do ask you if you have WorkX, then they definitely ask you, why didn't you go for CFA or CA? But if you go straight into an MBA, then you can do it side by side as well, and it wouldn't be an issue.
Hope it clears, Satvik. Another question I had, that since you have a work experience, what do you think the corporates are looking within students for placements?
So as freshers, I'm assuming you are talking about,
yes.
You're talking about yourself, right?
Yes.
So companies have different rounds, and different rounds look at different qualities that they want in you. So some rounds will focus more on your soft skills, which is your communication skills. Are you good in a team? How you perform in a team? So they'll have GDs for that. Whether you are articulate enough, and so yeah, how you present yourself, how you conduct yourself, and how confident you are. Then you have technical rounds as well, where they ask you things that as a BCom honors third year student or a BCom program third year student. So I think companies come for both BCom program and BCom honors. There's no differentiation in that. Most of the companies, they'll prefer anyone. As a third year student, I'm guessing most of the people over here are commerce. If they aren't, please let me know. So then they expect you to know certain concepts that a third year student would know, that even a first year student would, right? So they test you on that, but they know that there are some things which you might not know at the moment, although you have been taught about it, but not that much in detail. So they never ask you that. At the same point time, there is another. Some companies might have it, is what I call a pressure test, where they'll ask you questions that they know you won't be able to answer, but they just want to see how you do in those situations, right? How you handle the pressure and how you come out of it. Because in a corporate world, things change all the time. Before pandemic, there were many things, there were many screws moving around everything. And right now as well, dynamics are changing as we speak, right? So you as a representative of the corporation, you need to be at your feet all the time and keep changing your strategies as the situation in front of you changes. And that is also something that they are looking for. So these are the three things I feel that they companies look for.
Right. Okay. So another question I had is, these are some questions being listed by the students only. Are the internships and CV building important to crack a good MBA college?
Yes. Internships are important if you have done them in the field of your specialization that you are aiming for in MBA. So if you as a fresher have done all your specializations in finance, and then you go for have done all your internships in finance, and then you go for a specialization in HR, then they will definitely ask you what happened. I mean, didn't you like the first internship? Didn't you like the second internship? What happened? Because your CV shows me that you are inclined towards finance. So if you have a good enough answer for that, then kudos to you, you will get in. But then, yeah, so just before going for such a big step like internship, just think, is this something that, for the first internship at least, at the end of it, just introspect and ask yourself, is this something that I want to do in the future? Something similar to this that I want to do in the future? If not, then go for something else. Go for some other internships. But internships are important.
Right. So just a follow-up question. In the first year, I feel that most of the internships are offered in the domain of sales and marketing.
Right.
And people are pursuing or aiming to pursue a finance domain course or maybe MBA. So should they go in with the internship or not?
I didn't get your question, the second part of your question. So the first part is that the internships are offered in sales and marketing.
Generally in the first year.
Right.
But they are aiming to do an MBA in finance.
Right.
So should they accept the offer of an internship in sales?
Yes, because see, so a finance intern they wouldn't trust you with their finances for sure. You are a fresher, right? And they wouldn't trust you with your finances. When it comes to sales, someone else can monitor you while you are, let's say, on the field doing something or approaching a client. They can monitor you and the situation can still be controlled. So managers feel that they have a sense of control. They have some sort of control over you when you are in a sales or marketing domain. That is why I said in MBA as well, if you are aiming for sales or marketing, just have 5 or 6 months of experience, because that is what recruiters look for. They know that in sales and marketing, even if you make some mistake, it is easier for them to solve those mistakes in the initial stages. But if you make some mistake in finance, when you're dealing with finance, you need to be certain about what you're doing, and any mistake can cost you and your job and your company a lot of money. So I hope that answers.
Right. So one more question that every person will be having here is, why XLRI? Why did you aim for an HR domain MBA?
यार सबसे पहली बात तो मुझे मिला ही वो. It's not that I had a lot of options, but I mean I had options. I didn't go for them purely because firstly I had worked in engagement groups, right, as I told you, and I really enjoyed working. Right, I was a part of 2 engagement groups. I was in CSR, etc. as well. Plus my Enactus work, so my engagement in Enactus also showed that I like working with people, right? I had 3 years of experience in finance, but the job got redundant, and I wasn't really enjoying it as such, and I wanted a change of scenery, right? And I knew HR, people, basically people is a area that I like to work in. So I gave that and cleared it.
Right. So, since you were having a job while you thought of doing an MBA, how did you prepare for MBA while doing the job? And what is the ideal time required for the preparation?
So I like to play football and I still play it. Like I stopped playing it 2 weeks ago because my MBA started. But I like to play football a lot, and in college also I played a lot. What I did was that my office started at 8 a.m. So pandemic was a blessing in disguise for me. I'm not saying that in just one way, that it allowed me to study, right? So I was able to choose when to study and when to work. That flexibility it provided. No time was being wasted in traveling to and fro from office. So that was also an added advantage. So my job started at 8. I tend to finish everything by 5. Then I slept, I rested myself everything till 7, had my dinner, then went and played football till 10. And then from 10 to 4, I studied. So I am a night person. I like to study in night when there is no one disturbing me. That is how I study. I wanted something to distract me from that study wala phase as well, just to get me prepared for that phase that was coming 10 p.m. ke baad. So from 8 to 10, I played, relaxed myself, and from 10 to 4, I studied like rigorously. I gave my papers and everything. But that was my strategy. I'm not recommending this to anyone because it might not be that healthy for you. You might not be able to do it, right? So experiment. You have a lot of time in your hands. If you are I think you're in first year and second year, third year. So you still have a lot of time in your hands. Just experiment with your strategy. What I was able to achieve in those 6 hours, you might be able to achieve in those 2 hours. So you might be required to study for 2 hours only, and ace your papers.
Right. So noted. Priyanshi has another question. That's some tips you would like to give us for the interview round.
For which interview? MBA or your? I don't know. Is this a third year or a?
She's covering both placements and MBA and overall.
Overall, okay, fine. So I'm guessing, Priyanshi, that you are a BCom honors student. If I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. Right. So
I actually am a BCom program student.
BCom, you are a commerce student. That is what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what I would suggest you is to just go through your textbooks once and cover the important subjects. Economics is one of them. Go through your account subjects and everything. Now coming to certain personality questions that they ask you, tell us something about yourself. These are generic questions. So they don't really want to know about you because you have already provided them with your CV and everything. They just want to know, want to see how comfortable you are in communicating. Something that you know, right? So you know who you are. They just want to see how you tell that to others and how confident and comfortable you are in communicating. So just brush up on those questions, generic questions. Why do you want to be a part of EY? Let's say EY is coming because that is the first company I gave an interview for. That is why I said EY. Why do you want to join this company? What can you contribute to the company, and what can the company contribute to you and your personality? And tell us something about yourself is another one. And what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? I'm guessing all of you have some weaknesses and strengths. So just list them down and start working on them, right? Apart from that, they might throw some curveballs here and there by asking you questions like, why shouldn't we choose you? That is another question that is gaining a lot of traction these days among recruiters. So just work on those personality questions. Even if you botch up your technical round, at least your personality questions can save you. It can still save you and get you an offer later. Lastly, start reading the newspaper, right? Because you might get into a GD where they'll give you a topic like comment on the state of the GDP sector and which sectors you think will like improve and which sectors will never see the light of day. So that is my suggestion to you.
Yes, so Priyanshi, probably that's answer your question. One last question. You were the part of the actors in ComSoc. So did they help in shaping your personality?
I think yeah, they surely did because in actors and ComSoc are student-run societies.
Right.
All the approvals and everything are taken by the students, and teachers are only there as an advisory council in the advisory role, so to say. So they allow you to interact with the external stakeholders a lot, and you get to interact with different kinds of people. Like, right, so if you go to, let's say, a restaurant, or I'm guessing all of you will eventually go to for your marketing, for your events, you'll go for marketing drives and everything. So you'll go to restaurants and you will talk to them and everything, and you will get to know कि नहीं यार ये नहीं मानने वाला है, इसको बहुत convincing चाहिए and everything. You will realize, you will meet new people, you will understand their behavior and everything. And when you actually enter the corporate world, you will have certain negotiation skills, certain communication skills, certain personality traits that right now you might not have. But you will notice those changes in you when you enter the corporate world, and how these societies, how the entire college as a whole, it prepares you for life after college.
Right. So that sums it all. I hope this was a really insightful, informative talk. We really appreciate your line of work and now have a very better idea and understanding about the discussed career prospect. I would also request you if you could provide your LinkedIn URL in the chat box so that juniors could directly contact you if they need guidance. Coming towards the end of the session, I would like to thank you all again on behalf of our whole team of ALMA Connect. You have really inspired us a lot. I would also like to thank Seema Joshi ma'am, our staff coordinator, for her constant support throughout these sessions. Last but not the least, I would also like to thank our viewers for being with us today. And with that, we conclude today's talk.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Apur, and
you.
my best wishes.
Thank you, and thank you so much.
Okay. Be in touch, right?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes.